Christina Brown here with the Brown team at Sage Door Realty. We get asked all sorts of questions from people looking to buy a home, financing questions, and all of those kinds of things. So today's question is, can you buy a home with student loan debt? Well, the short answer is yes, it's possible. Is it possible for you? Well, that depends on some things. So we know today, in today's world, so many people are living with student debt that they need to pay off for their loans, for their education. It is undoubtedly a financial burden that you have, but it absolutely can be possible that you can still qualify and purchase a home. But it also depends on some things. So of course it is a debt that you owe, so that will be factored into your debt to income ratio. Of course your credit score matters. What are your payments? What does that look like in your budget? Can you afford it? And so forth. You are paying for a roof over your head one way or another. So if you can afford to buy, we always suggest that's better, because renting is always 100% interest. You are never paying anything off ever, so keep that in mind. But if you are considering buying a home, don't give up just because you have student loan debt. The very first thing you should do always is to reach out to a good, honest, and reputable lender, a local lender. And if you have a trusted real estate professional, then ask them who they recommend, because we are picky who we use, because we want to make sure that our lender is going to treat our people right, give them honest answers, and that we make it all the way to the final closing table at the very end of the deal. And so we are choosy that we choose lenders that are doing the right thing. But minimum payments for student loans can be manageable with a mortgage payment. As long as you budget carefully, you know what you can afford, and you stay and live within your means when it comes to what you're purchasing. I always remind people, you just have to start somewhere. Your first home may not be your dream home. Very few of us ever start with a dream home, right? We're usually working our way up. So we always say you can buy a home, you can always sell it later and buy another one, but what you're doing is building equity in the time that you live there, instead of just paying interest forever by paying somebody else's loan. So my best advice is, number one, reach out to a good, reputable lender. Have a budget. Know what your budget is, know what you can afford, and discuss that with your lender. Lenders will often look at your financials and say, oh, you can spend up to $250,000, but you may know that your monthly that you can afford is different or less. Make sure you get what that amount equals, the monthly payment you want, and that's the amount you need to shop for. So it is not uncommon for people today to have 10, 20, 30, up to $100,000 in student loans, right? It can be crazy. But here's some of the obstacles that we see buyers concerned with. Number one, how in the world can I, while paying off these student loans, afford to save money for a down payment? Well, guess what? You can use maybe a first-time loan program, or one of the special types of loan programs that exist where you don't have to put any money down. That is a great option, and those programs do exist. You just need to reach out and know who to call to talk to them about those kind of programs. Number two, very similar. How do I save for closing costs? Well, if you buy in a market like what we are in now, it is much easier right now in the current market to get a seller to consider paying your closing costs. Things are a little slower now. Buyers are kind of on the sidelines waiting to see what's going to happen. Buy now, negotiate for the seller to pay these expenses for you, and then when rates come down next year, which is what we're still hoping for, plan to refinance, right? But then you're not overpaying and bidding wars, having to save even more money. The best time to buy a home is always sooner rather than later, because then once you're in the home, you're already starting to build equity. The biggest regret people make is that they didn't buy a home sooner. That's a very common comment. People are concerned about what their debt to income ratio is, but again, that's why you're going to talk to a lender. And then of course, having some savings and nest egg built up, just so you have a little savings, is always a good idea. So I tell people, just start planning ahead and start budgeting and set a little aside at a time to put into this savings, paying off some of the extra debt you have as you can, paying it down, whatever. But honestly, my best advice is to just get with the lender early and come up with a plan with that lender. They can absolutely help you and tell you what's best, what will affect your credit score best, and so forth. You can buy a home even if you have student debt. So I hope this helps. Reach out if you need help contacting a great lender. Have a great day.